Okay. Joe, you still hear me? No. You hear music. All right, let's go live here. So, Joe, you hear me okay? Yeah, but I don't hear you. Hold on, I've done something here. There we go. All right, there we are. There we are. And where's my
two-way
special
communication?
button? Yeah, that's right. Who would have thought that would be such a challenge? All right, let's see. Guido's here. Kyle's here. Rich is here. Rich is here twice under two different names. He's trying to bump up our viewership today. And Rick is here. So, Joe, I have to ask you, what is the background of your last name? And Demax is the last name?
I can tell you the real story, but I don't think you'd believe it. My great-great-granddad, I think so. The family were being persecuted by the Nazis, and he ran away to the circus. And his stage name was the Great Demax. And
No!
they decided to legally
that's
change
awesome.
the name to that. Mm-hmm. So when people say, "What is it, a stage name?" Well, kind of.
Yeah. Fourth generation
way.
stage name. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Geez, that's the kind of thing, kids can walk around, your kids can walk around thinking, oh, yeah.
You tell
I'm
people, and they're
Demax.
like, all right, so what's the real story? That.
Oh, that's great. All right. Rich says your audio's a little low. Okay.
How is it to you?
How is it to me? It's fine to me.
I mean, I can add some gain, or you can add some gain.
Yeah, let me add a little bit of gain here and see what Rich thinks about that. Rich is such an audio snob. I mean, just gee whiz.
Doesn't matter. Audio, not important.
He's using Dante now, so he thinks he knows what he's doing. Gee whiz. All right, let's see. Rick is back. Sasha's here. Hello, Sasha. And Maria's here. Well, we can start now that Marie's here, although we're still 12 minutes early. I had the treat to meet Jan and Marie in person last fall in Amsterdam at IBC. It was a real treat. It was cool.
Nearly went to that IBC. Kind of wish I did now.
Oh, well, yeah, because it's going to be a year and a half before you can go to one. Oh, man. Yeah. And having been to both IBC and NAB, I think I prefer... Oh, now Marie wants me to lower my mic. Okay. Well, it's a new mic, Marie. That's part of the problem. Yeah, that's right.
What are you using?
I had been using, and I'm going to draw it down just a tad here. I had been using an Audio-Technica ATR 2100. That's $70 mic, USB, XLR, great jack of all trades mic, but it was beginning to get a little crackly. And I had an AT897. It's about a 6-inch, 8-inch shotgun that I've got on a boom in my studio portion. So I said, well, I like that mic. It works well. Let's get another one. I'll put it here at the desk. So that's what I've got. It doesn't have a windsock on it, so I'm interested to see if that makes a difference.
Have you got your computers in the same room?
Yes, but I have
that would be my problem.
A thick moving blanket hung from the ceiling between me and the computers.
Dampen it.
And then the rack has got two big slabs of fiberglass insulation covered with cloth on either side. So it really cuts down that. Plus, I'm using the Waves Audio NS1 noise filter to try to pick out.
VST?
Yes, VST3 plug-in and vMix, and I love it. And plus, I've got a huge...
I've got loads. I've got so many VSTs installed, but I've never actually tried the VST hosting in vMix. I need to get on
it's
that.
Great. I mean, for an idiot like me, it's perfect. Marie, I will pass that along. Sandy will be delighted. Yep. And she was so disappointed when she found out that we weren't going to go to Amsterdam this fall. Is there a glare on Tom's glasses? I mean, geez, what is with these people? Where is the glare?
It's never good enough, is it?
Okay, this is the laptop. So we'll just close the laptop. How about that? There we go. That's better. I have arranged the lighting here, except for that light. Somebody moved that so that it, for the most part, doesn't do anything. So let's see. Can we make that one go away? Yeah, that'll be it. And most of my monitors' backgrounds are light colored. How are we doing on time? We're in good shape time. This is good. All right. Yeah, Joe, you've been to IBC before, though, right?
3 times?
Okay.
3 or 4?
Okay. I think I prefer it over NAB. I think it's much more intimate.
So I've never been to NAB, but I'm sure that's probably true. But also Amsterdam's it's a brilliant city.
Yes. Yes.
Even from here, it's so culturally different. So I'm sure for you, even more so.
Oh gosh, it was like going into Disney World.
Yeah.
Except everybody spoke English in Amsterdam. Disney World, they don't.
Well, which one?
Well, I'm thinking about the one in Florida.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, it's funny because tons of people from Central and South America will visit Disneyland, Disney World in Florida. And so
right.
It's not uncommon to hear Portuguese and Spanish and, what other languages might be spoken, and different dialects of Spanish too, if you understand Spanish well enough to know. So IBC, everybody spoke English, and everybody spoke English the whole time. I think I had one person in 5 days come up to the vMix booth and speak in a language that was not English. And
no, at the show, even like going around Amsterdam, you'd be hard pressed to find someone that doesn't speak English.
Right. Well, they teach it in the school. I mean, it's expected that you learn English, which I think is what's made them, such a hub. And it was great. It was a good trip. It was a good show. Marie says all of Europe is like Disney World. That's true in a lot of ways.
I don't know about that.
But I need to come to England. I've never been to the UK.
Never been?
Nope. But my dad's dad was born in Scotland, and and so that's my connection there. And then my dad's mom was Bahamian, which of course has a strong English influence. I guess they were.
We have a
protectorate or a colony or something at one point.
There's a trade show called BVE, British Video Expo or something. That's in February, and it's like it's the third compared to IBC or NAB, but you might actually see that might be the first one back.
It might be a big show too.
For that. It might be a big show
because everybody that didn't get to go and wants to go to a show either as an attendee or as a vendor. They need to get out and press the flesh. Oh, that's a great idea. I wonder if Martin and Tim are considering going. I know how much they like to travel around the world, which is like not. Yeah.
Do they not?
In case you guys are wondering, we're still in pre-show. Joe he and I are just sort of hanging out. We're sort of old friends in a way. I knew him back before he had a driver's license. Is that what they call it in the UK, a driver's license?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lets you drive.
He actually drives now. Yeah. We were comparing notes before we went live as to when we had done our first live stream. And Joe, what did you say? 2009?
For me, 2009.
2009.
What about you?
2007, and it was horrible. Oh gosh.
I mean, it really was the ghetto of internet video, if you will.
But even back then, you could sense that it was going to be something huge. We did a weekend of soccer matches with a Logitech 310 or something like that, duct taped to a tripod. And we
I
had,
remember your story of how you'd hold
oh,
the scores up
yes,
to the camera on
yes.
cardboard.
We'd
Yeah,
write it down with a magic marker on a clipboard and hold it up to the camera. That was our graphics.
that was
And
your character generator.
but
Yep.
but it was it the response was so overwhelming. I knew that this thing, and we didn't even know what to call it back then, whatever it was a thing, and it sure has been a
Yep.
thing. Guido says that Portugal is actually pretty good with speaking English. Yeah, my son visited Portugal when he graduated from college. He bummed around Europe for about 4 months until he finally ran out of money, but he loved Portugal. He went surfing in Portugal on Easter morning. How about that? That's something to be said. And his surfing instructor was Jesus. So it was like, oh, Jesus is teaching me surfing on Easter morning. This is cool. All right. English is the universal language of money. Absolutely.
One way to put it.
Absolutely. Yep. Well, Joe is going to talk. Well, I'm not going to tell you what Joe's going to talk about because we want to let Joe talk about what Joe is going to talk about. Let's see how we're doing on. Are folks showing up? Is the chat room filling up? Let's see with what we've got. Otis is here. Otis is from Houston, Texas. JB is here. Oh, check my autofocus. Thank you, JB. Yes. I need to, apparently it won't retain that. It's a Logitech C920, but when you go to the advanced settings in vMix, it won't retain those settings. So I have to remember to turn them off and turn them back on, or turn off the autofocus every time. Okay, that should have gotten it. Thank you very much. It's nice to have friends that'll take care of you. That's what I have to say. So your buddy Steve is here.
Hello, Steve. Shout out to Steve Matthews.
There he goes.
One of the original beta testers of whatever we're going to talk about.
Of whatever we're going to talk about. That's right. That's right. So let's see. Who else did I miss? Clint is here. Clint is from Kentucky. Martin Stuckey's here. He's from Switzerland. Holy cow. It's just a old home week.
It's like being at IBC.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. All right. Well, good. We might start on time. Marie, how many languages do you speak? I can imagine that she's at least 3 or 4. I mean, probably Swedish, obviously. English. Maybe a little Dutch. I don't know. Joe, how many languages do you speak?
Do programming languages count? English and very, very broken French.
Aha. Very good. Very good. Broken French. Yeah. I can ask where the bathroom is in 3 different languages. I just can't understand the answer.
As long as they point, it's fine.
That's right. That's right. That's right. When we were in Thailand a couple of years ago, it's funny, the graphic symbols for going to the bathroom were very graphic. I mean, there was no doubt about what this was you were going to do because you saw the whole picture in stick figures. It was, and I guess that's just the way they do it. All right, Marie says Danish, Swedish, and English daily. That's great. Did you know Marie is an HVAC engineer? Yes.
No.
Yes, she is brilliant. Guido says all 3 languages, French, English, and Dutch. Then you can add to that if you want. Chinese is upcoming. There you go. And Rick says the answer is down the mall to the left. And when Guido says Dutch, he means German. All right. Well, we are about at start time, and I think we have critical mass in the chat room.
Okay.
and other people will join us as they can. So, Joe, you know the deal here on the show. I'll do a little monologue at the very beginning, and then introduce you, and then we'll just chat and let you kind of control the destination of where we end up. Let me turn this phone down one more click so that it's completely silent there. There we go. Okay. All right. Very good. All right. Sit tight. Joe will be right back with the start of this show. I reprogrammed these shortcuts this morning, so it's going to be a little bit of a yeah, that's right. Here we go. We'll see what happens in the real world. I mean, I did testing, but I've got my handy dandy XK80 from X Keys, the folks at PI Engineering, and you notice that I have well, you probably can't see, but I have two lights lit. One light is the light with the musical notes on it. That's you, Joe. So I can mute you like that. So yeah, you're muted.
Right.
And then the other big one is the mic across the room. I don't want to hit that one, but the one right above it that says desk mic. You notice it's just amazing graphics here.
Sure.
That's me. And so
state of the art.
I'm gone. So, but then there are other triggers. That's where the dangerous comes in. I changed them, but did I change them all? We will see. We will see. Okay. Here we go. So let's go here. There we go. And hey, my mic is still working when I go there. That's a good sign. And we'll turn. I turned myself off when I did that, didn't I? Look there. I've got a trigger in there that's backwards. All right. Once timeout. 1 second. Let's
we get it right the first time. Don't worry.
Find it and fix it. Oh, it's sheesh. I don't ever get it right the first time. Well, all the triggers are right there. Audio on at the desk and off at the boom. And oh, I bet there's something else there. Well, not to worry. Not to worry. Here we go. Let's just wing it. Shall we wing it? We'll wing it. Let's turn Joe off. There we go. Hello and welcome. I'm Tom Sinclair, and this is Streaming Idiots. I am delighted that you are here today with me. We got to make one quick adjustment here. There we go. I'm really excited about our guest. Holy cow! I'm excited about today's show. This is going to be one of these kind of landmark shows. So you need to make a note in your calendar that you're watching this live. If you're watching it live, of course. Because this may just go down in history as one of these shows that changes the course of human events, or at least live streaming events. We don't know. I've got a really super guest. Joe DeMax is going to be on with us in just a second. Let me get this cord out of the way. It's driving me nuts. We're coming to you from the control section of our studio today. I've got the green screen part of the studio, unfortunately, is overrun with PCs that we're building. We're building PCs right and left. It's been a lot of fun. We're dealing with a lot of great clients that have got a need, and so we're happy to help them with that need. We're actually working on some PCs for the Griswold school system up in Connecticut today. They have got 4 PCs here that we're building for them. And then we've got a couple for some churches and some other private clients that unfortunately we can't name as much as we'd like to. But it's been a lot of fun. You may have noticed, and this is all really what I guess I would call a just want to make sure I didn't just turn my audio off by doing that. I've got a bad habit of doing that. I lost my train of thought. Sorry. The whole show, the whole Streaming Idiot show. Let's just get this out right now before it's too late. The whole show is a giant infomercial for my company, Eastern Shore Broadcasting. And that's the only reason we do. No, it's not the only reason we do the show. We have a lot of fun with the show, but that's Eastern Shore Broadcasting is the sponsor of the show. So every now and then we have to mention the fact that we actually sell stuff. But the most important thing to know, if you've been waiting for a PTZ camera from PTZ Optics, we had a shipment arrive yesterday. Yes, yesterday. And those are all sold though. And we have another shipment coming tomorrow, which are not all sold. So if you're interested in those, it's what we have coming tomorrow is the 30X. We've got some in white and some in gray. You can get them on our website. We are pre-selling them until they're not available. And if they're, if they sell out during the show, as soon as the show's over, we'll go and mark the website with that. And if you accidentally buy one that's not available, we'll give you an immediate refund. Or you can wait for the next shipment and be first in line. That's up to you. Because we do have more on the way after that. Finally, the log jam has opened up. And these are, Rich, these are 30X, the SDI HDMI version, not the NDI version. We haven't been stocking the NDI version. We have been drop shipping that from the factory to clients on the NDIs, and those are still in a back order situation. At least none of the ones that we have on order have shipped yet. Perhaps they will shortly. For those of you that are interested in technically what's going on with the Streaming Idiots studio today, this is the control studio. I used to have a green screen behind me, and it just never worked right, and it just, because the lighting was bad and the screen was not straight and just lots of things. So it was one of those kinds that you wrestle with and it turns up, into like a bicycle wheel. So I gave that to my grandson. He was delighted to have it. My son was not delighted for him to have it, but that's a different story. And I had this backdrop of the brick wall, which obviously needs to be straightened out a little bit. And this is actually not a green screen. This is actually a printed vinyl backdrop. And then the artwork here was graciously given to me by Martin and Tim from vMix at IBC last September. And we smuggled it across the border into the U.S. and now various pieces of artwork grace our studios here. So we're pretty excited about that. Let's see. The other thing that's new is we have a new microphone today. The microphone, and it's just out of the camera shot right there. Yeah. And it is the same mic that we're using in the studio portion. It's an Audio Technica 897 shotgun. This one doesn't have the windsock on it, so we'll have to get one of those. And so we were using the ATR, Audio Technica ATR 2100, which is a great little, very versatile mic. It's very inexpensive, about maybe $70 US, something like that. And so it finally just started getting a lot of crackle in it. I'll test it and maybe we can get it fixed, but we decided just to go ahead and use the same mic wherever we were in the studio, kind of standardize, and that way I think that'll help us with the same quality of audio no matter what mic we're using. So that's a quick rundown on that. What's the other thing? If you're looking for a USB to HDMI dongle, I guess it's HDMI to USB dongle, that little adapter, we've got those in stock right now, both from Magewell and from Yuan. The Magewell ones are about $300. The Yuan ones are about $250. They're in our store at easternshorebroadcasting.com, and you can order those, and we'll ship those just as soon as we get the order. So those are ready to go right now. So if you've been trying to find something like that, I think we've hoarded them all. So let us know. We'll be happy to send them to you. So I guess that's all the infomercial part right now. So let's get to the good stuff. All right. So like 10 years ago, Was it 10 years ago? Maybe even longer than that. There was this annoying kid that was on the internet who was always correcting me and arguing with me when we got into the great wars about who had the best software switcher. Was it this kind or was it that kind? And the doggone it, if that little kid didn't know about 10 times as much as I did about this technology. It was embarrassing, frankly. But I would put up a brave front and pretend like I knew what I was talking about, and it was a disaster, but it was hilarious. And as it turns out, this guy has become, in some ways, to me, kind of an icon in the live streaming industry, because he's been in it not most of his life yet, but going on half his life. I mean. Anyway, so I'm talking about Joe DeMax. Let me figure out if I can figure out. There's got to be a button here that I can press that'll bring Joe up on the screen. Here we go. There we go. There's Joe. I bet I even have his audio on. Good. So this is Joe DeMax, and Joe and I would get into these, Apple versus PC battles over various software switchers, not to be named on this show, and.
There was a lot of tribalism, you could say.
It was, but it was classic and it was wonderful. It was a great, stimulating time, and people would get different sides and get all geared up with their arguments. It was lovely, and we all learned a lot in the process. And here Joe is, 11 years later. So probably that makes you 25.
Exactly that, yeah.
25
as of a few days.
and holy cow, in another 3 or 4 years he will have been live streaming half of his life. Holy moly. I mean, it's almost like the telephone. Do you remember a time in your life where there was no such thing? No. Or a television? No. I remember the first time my family got their first TV. It was a black and white TV. You had to turn the channel with a knob. Think about the changes that I've seen
before
in my
there
lifetime.
even was an NTSC.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. But Joe, tell us a little bit about what you're doing now in the live streaming world, and then we want to get into what we really got you here is to talk about central control. So lay it on us. What's going on?
Sure, Tom.
What's the Joe DeMax story?
If I might say, a pleasure to be here. I suppose, like you said, I've been in live streaming a lot of my life, but haven't always been doing it professionally. I've been working the past few years in the live event industry. Recently, that stopped existing, and live streaming became very popular. And I had people coming to me saying, we've got this event, could you live stream it? And the answer, of course, was yes. So I've been doing a lot more live streaming recently, and to come back after a few years and get really into it, it's just crazy how, you talk about Moore's law, but live streaming technology seems to advance at a rate unseen anywhere else.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. I would call it Martin's law, but that's okay. That's just my prejudice.
We can coin that. It'll be in Urban Dictionary by the end of the show, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's right. So, but before you were live streaming again, you were doing what, live events? Is that?
So I was doing various. I was working on a lot of festivals. I was looking after video on them, but kind of in a different sense. Like the visuals you'd see up behind DJs, and I traveled the world doing that. But again, we don't do live events and we don't do international travel anymore.
So your career just disappeared overnight, as it were.
Yeah, I watched the Summer Diary just disappear overnight, gone.
For those of us that are across the Atlantic Ocean and have no clue what you're referring to, what's a Summer Diary? Is that where I talk about all my girlfriends? In a book?
It could be. That might be your definition, but just that diary of events we had booked in.
Okay.
Live shows.
Okay.
Somewhat different to your definition.
Yes. Two people separated by a common language. I get it. All right. So your summer bookings disappeared overnight.
Yes,
I mean, you're
gone
essentially your career ceased to exist.
as it was. Yeah.
Was that just not terrifying?
I think the night that we found out the country was going to lockdown, I think I had a little panic and I just said, the next tomorrow is a new day and we'll figure out a way forward. And
Uh-huh.
live streaming and central control was that way forward, really.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. You knew you had the tool set to pull that off.
Yeah. And I had
Yeah.
streaming kit lying around and I was just looking at it like, well, it's go time, isn't it?
So tell us a little. Let's take a little jog to the side
Sure.
and tell us, because you had, what's the best way to put it? It seems like 100 years ago you were throwing little teasers out there like, yeah, I can take a Tricaster control surface and I can make it make
Mm-hmm.
coffee. I can make it make tea.
Yeah.
And that was just intriguing because you were just going to say, you know, you've got this old gear hanging around. We can repurpose it. We can make it useful again. And, you know, then you mentioned the magic V word, vMix, and suddenly I became very attentive. And that's part,
Mm-hmm.
is that part of the root of central control? Now, you and I haven't talked about any of this stuff, so I'm coming into it just
Sure.
like I was a casual observer, like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us
So
about that.
as you said, so I did have this software that could do that. So we would, you could take, you know what, I've got one right. You could take, a new tech USB control panel like this, which you might not have used for some years, and you could hook it up to vMix, and it would pretty much just work with this software I wrote. It got delayed several times, as you alluded to. Like real life took over, didn't really happen, and then eventually it did get released. But the thing is, you release something, you release a program like vMix, you release anything, and everyone's like, well, what if I want this button to do this instead, or I want to use two, and I want to use this control panel that you don't support, and you have this program that was designed to do one thing, and there's just no way to extend it to cover everyone's needs. And I was kind of looking at it like, we need some kind of modular program that encompasses all these different things in one, and you can, take whatever control surface you want, MIDI, one of these, OSC, and you map those buttons to whatever you want. We'll support vMix, ATEM, Tricaster, Wirecast. They'll all be in there, and you can control them all from whatever.
There used to be a TV show. I don't know if you had it in the UK, called Star Trek.
Right.
And in Star Trek, they had a communicator, if I remember correctly, that would take my language and let you hear your language. It was wonderful. Sure. And so that's what we're talking about. We're talking about a communicator that's going to translate from one side,
something to something else, basically.
ATEM, vMix, to control surface or whatever. This is it. And it's totally agnostic. I mean, you're not playing favorites. This is not just a vMix thing. It's not just a Tricaster thing.
No, and someone who uses it, they might not necessarily be just a vMix user. We've got someone who uses this. They have a vMix setup for live events. They'll have their vMix setup, but they've also got an ATEM there to handle, say, iMag, because it will do it with lower latency. And now they can take one control panel and control the entire lot, run the same mix.
Okay, run that by me again. I'm a little slow on the uptake sometimes.
Sure. So as you may or may not know, vMix, great live streaming, everything else recording, great. iMag for a software switcher has always been something of a pain point. It's hard. You're going through a general purpose computer, and to make that work, it's going to take some time to get through the computer. But if you take, a hardware switcher like the Blackmagic ATEM, you can be if you're gen-locked, you can be as low as a frame glass to glass. So if you're doing, iMag, which is you've got someone speaking and there's a big display and everyone's, watching them on that, it needs to be low. So I had a user that, they've got vMix set up for streaming recording, but iMag is also in that equation. They need to be able to do it and the client's not going to be happy with anything over, say, 3 or 4 frames. So they've, as well as the vMix setup, which they're controlling using central control, I believe they're using one of these APC minis. So let's say they might have a row, preview program row for the ATEM, but then they may have another row of buttons here that is controlling the ATEM.
So simultaneously.
Yes.
So they don't have to press a button to switch the controller over into a different mode and the keys reprogram themselves or something like that. They've got a row of vMix and a row of ATEM.
For example, yep.
And so, okay, so you've got the controller plugged into the PC, and the ATEM is plugged into the PC as well. How does that work? I'm not an ATEM guy.
I wasn't until a few months ago either. The ATEM, it's kind of cool. They're just, you plug in an RJ45, a Cat5 cable, and they're on the network. So any computer on that network can then control the ATEM, including our software central control.
And so your central control takes the command from the control surface, and we've programmed it in advance, like the shortcuts that I always struggle with, and then POW it does it. Does it work with a Stream Deck?
Not at present, but if you look not too far in my background, you can see something quite foreshadowing. So coming soon, watch this space.
Aha. Okay. All right. Very good. And by the way, folks, the QR code there will take you to Joe's website, to centralcontrol.io, and you can see it right below.
Why didn't I think of that?
Just, every now and then we stumble on something. All right. So central control doesn't do anything. Then it's just this wonderful translator that allows different gear to control different stuff. What are the stuffs that it controls? We've got the ATEM, we've got vMix. What else is on that side?
That's a great question, and I prepared this vMix browser input for the sake of showing you. So if you look at our website, there's a page named Supported Devices, and you can kind of have a look into everything that's supported at present and kind of get a feel for it there. But we've got, I'd say the 4 main production switches: vMix, Tricaster, ATEM, even OBS. We've got some OSC control, which I think we'll dive into a little bit later because that's really cool.
All right.
Some NewTek USB panels, as you mentioned, some MIDI devices, and then some generic ones such as an Xbox 360 controller, or the ability to send keystrokes, which is cool because it lets you control something that might not have an API that we can't talk to directly, but if it has, if you can send keystrokes to it, you can still take some kind of control of it.
And then the one that you didn't mention, I saw there, voice commands. Holy cow! Voice
commands, yes. That's it. I didn't have it ready to demo now, but if you watch the demo video on the YouTube channel, there's a really good, cool demonstration of it there. It's if anyone's ever used vMix Voice, it's similar to that in that you set a few phrases and then you can attach commands to them. The difference from voice being that it can be, you could say a phrase and have it trigger, say, your Tricaster, a lighting desk over OSC, and vMix all at the same time.
That's amazing. That is all right. So my guess is that you're going to get just bombarded with requests from people. Will you support this keyboard?
Can you support? Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
But I embrace that. Like if there's something that you want to use that's not on the website, I'd encourage you to send me an email and say, can you make this work? Because 9 times out of 10, it's going to be we'll give this a go, of course.
Does it work with an X keys?
In progress, trying to get some samples of them so we can test it, but I've made a start on that because that's one I do want to support.
Yeah, they're wonderful, and they're bulletproof, and very basic, but they get the job done.
I've had many requests. Yeah.
Okay, so you've got X keys in the works, you've got Stream Deck in the works, and all of this is happening over the network. I'm guessing. So everything's plugged into a network.
So yes,
somewhere,
so the
somehow.
vMix implementation is entirely, we use their TCP API to talk to it. I didn't realize how important this would be until, so production, I think, has been moving towards the cloud for some years. And I think that was an inevitability, but I think this pandemic made it, guaranteed to happen quite quickly. So all of a sudden, you've got people that are running vMix in, say, Amazon, virtual machines in the cloud,
Right.
and they can remote in and they can control it, desktop, keyboard, mouse, whatever. But let's say they want to use some kind of hardware control panel.
Right.
How do you do that?
Right.
So I started to get questions about this. I was like, I never thought that we could do that, but because of just the way it's designed, we absolutely can do that. So all you would have to do is forward one port, and then it doesn't matter if the vMix is running on my desktop PC or on Amazon in another continent.
Really? That's astounding.
Really.
So, is this multi-user?
So could multiple people control the same vMix instance?
Right.
Yeah. So if you had central control on your PC, and
Yep.
I forwarded some ports, so you could take control of my vMix in the exact same way I can. But let's say I'm controlling the switcher. Maybe you'd map the faders to the audio mixer and maybe some graphics. That would be your domain. Then I'd be doing the production, you'd be doing the audio, and then maybe we'd have someone using our OSC instant replay template, and maybe they'd be handling instant replay, all from one vMix.
So one vMix could be controlled by multiple devices from multiple locations.
Yes.
I'm sorry. You're lying to me. You're telling me things that aren't true. That's not possible.
I mean, I wish we were set up to do it now. All I can say is if you watch the demo video on the homepage of the website, me and good friend Steve Matthews actually do this. I take control of his vMix using my Live Control 11 from my desktop, and he's also got one on his end. And if I press the preview button on mine, it will go green, and then his will do the same thing at the exact same time, even though we're 5 miles apart.
Wow. Wow. All right, I want to see. That's a video that you have on your website at centralcontrol.io. Okay. All right. We got to go watch that. So what else have you got to show? You got pictures.
What else have I got to show?
Well, you got cool stuff. Oh, you just teased us a second ago because vMix is going to release vMix 24 in like 10 minutes. Not really, but
no, I didn't. But that's it. Oh,
it just
really.
It's any month now. It's been forever coming, but with a major update to instant replay, and so you've got this control that you've teased us with. Tell us more about this.
I did. So I'm using the NDI capture app, and I'll show you live on my phone screen. So recently we added support for OSC. Some of your viewers might know what that is. It's basically the successor to MIDI, but it's all like network based. So I thought it not enough to just support the protocol. I thought we should include a way to use it. So there's this great app called Touch OSC, which is basically hard to describe, but you get to build your own like layouts and such. Where I'll show you one now. This is our switcher. So this is actually in control of the production right now. I'll not change the program row for obvious reasons, but if I start cutting across the preview row, so we've got a full switcher, bi-directional. Like if I cut along on my, you can't see, but if I cut along on my, I'm sure you can hear it on my LC11, that's following along. So that's one of the templates we did. But Steve, a good friend of mine, he's big into his sports broadcasting, and he's long been looking for some kind of affordable instant replay controller. So I thought, well, surely we can build one using Touch OSC. So if I pull that up now, 2 seconds. And there it is. So that's basically all you need to run an instant replay production. I've got a quick demo I did make, which is, you'll have to forgive me, it was using a Tricaster. But this works exactly the same using vMix. You've got a jog wheel, T-bar for speed, you can set the speed, change angles, and someone else can be doing this while your main operator is, say, running the switcher.
That's awesome.
And
That's
that comes
amazing.
for free. Templates for iPad and iPhone included for free.
So this has got to cost like $10,000 per license, at least.
At least.
I mean, the value that this can add. I mean, this is a. I'm trying to think of an analogy. I mean, I'm big on analogies and helping people understand, but this one just blows me away. I can't think of a good analogy. It just, the ability to control. All right. Well, here's a question for you then. No, you've already said this, that I can take one keyboard and control multiple devices. I can take one device and control it with multiple keyboards or
Yes.
controllers, whatever they might be.
Yes.
Sweet. All right. How can I get a hold of this?
This is sure. The website is centralcontrol.io. I can go back to the browser capture, but we actually have recently, when we launched, I regret this, the trial was 7 days, and in my opinion, not enough. But it's now been extended to 30 days. And if anyone has already used up their 7-day free trial, just send me an email, joe@centralcontrol.io, and I'll be happy to reset it for you.
Okay, well there you go. Now, when the trial ends and somebody wants to have it forever, is it a subscription or is it a permanent license like vMix with periodic updates? Permanent license. Okay, thank you. That's good.
Permanent license.
I like that. And where can you get a license? Can you get a license at easternshorebroadcasting.com?
No, but I think you should be able to. So I'm sure we can make that happen.
All right. Good. Is there a Facebook group to go with this this venture?
Yes. So there's a Facebook page which is just facebook.com/thisiscentralcontrol. But there's also a Central Control user group. If you just search on Facebook, Central Control users, there'll be people there. And, ask a question. If I don't answer, someone else will.
Okay. All right.
Very quickly.
All right. That's cool. That's I like community support on those kinds of things because
I think it's one of the most important things.
Yeah. People are coming up with all sorts of interesting use cases that are not necessarily what the developer intended.
They said, yeah, this is it. You see posts, you're like, you can do that. I never thought you could, but it's all there. And it surprises me every day.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, let's see. So we're beginning to get some questions here. We'll try to address some of those in the post show. And we've kind of gone over our half an hour, but that's okay because it's just made up rules anyway. What else do we need to know about Central Control as it exists today? Just today,
sure.
Not about the future, because I'm going to come back with that question in just a minute.
Of course. So I think this is undeniably a vMix-oriented show, and vMix has an amazing shortcut system. So I'm sure many viewers would say, why would I want to use this when I can just plug my MIDI controller into vMix and away I go? And that's a great question. We already kind of touched on the remote thing. There's no way to do that in vMix, but there are a few other benefits I can see, even if you just wanted to plug in a MIDI controller to vMix. I guess the most important to me, I'm just thinking like there's, I think about that and like, because I haven't used shortcuts for some time, so it takes me a second to think like, what can I and can't I do using vMix? But I think one of the key features we have that they don't is there's a layering system, which anyone who's used like a digital sound console might be familiar with. These consoles will have maybe 40 channels coming in, but you don't have enough faders on the console to control them all at once. So you'll have this idea of layers. So, you can press a button and then all of a sudden the rest of the buttons do something else. You press another one and you're on another page, if you will, of buttons. That's a useful feature. The other key one for me is the way our shortcuts work is you assign a shortcut And then if it has feedback, that's done. It automatically maps as well. We don't really do activators in the same way that they do.
Okay, back up.
Sure.
You tried to slip that one by me.
Okay.
So my favorite mixer, which I don't have but I like, is the Behringer X32, which will show me X number of channels at any one point in time, but I can switch to multiple pages there. And you're saying that you can do the same thing with was that the Akai Mini that you showed just a second ago?
Any controller we support, you can add layers to. So the LC11, for example, has this Alt button on it, which you can then, you say, I want page 1 to be, my first 11 sources, because they thought it was a good idea to have 11 inputs. And then your other page might be, your next 11 inputs, or something entirely different. Your first layer could be vMix, and then the second layer might be controlling an entirely different switcher.
No way. That is holy cow. All right. This is
the only way
stuff. Gee whiz.
The only way to grasp it, I've said this time and time again, is that I can talk about it all day, but the only way you will grasp it is if you grab all of the controllers and you have to hand and download the trial and just start plugging stuff in.
Holy cow. Okay. Yeah, you keep going back to that trial thing, and people can get a trial right now at centralcontrol.io. You can sign up for it, and if you've had it before and you had the 7-day trial and that wasn't enough time, you send Joe a note at joe@centralcontrol.io and he'll hook you up. But so you've got this paging ability with the controllers that you currently support. So all of the controllers that you currently support can be magnified. You can have. Is there a limit to the number of pages?
At the moment, 10. I mean, it's kind of just a limit. We don't see people going above, but
sure.
If someone really felt the need to go beyond that, we could definitely have that conversation.
Okay. And so do I go through the pages sequentially, or can I go directly to the page I want?
So there's you basically, once you've set up pages, you get to assign the controls to change pages like any other command on this, in central control. So there's 2 ways to do it. You can either set the page, or there's another function called set page temp, which works by when you hold it down, you're on that page. You let go, you're on the other page.
Oh, wow.
It's like a shift key, if you will.
Sure. And that's great for that moment where you just got to get over there and do something quickly and then come back.
Yep.
So does the keyboard change in some way to let you know what page you're on?
Yeah. So actually, let me.
Now that we're talking about this, I'm just fascinated.
I'm going to switch to this. So let me switch to my desktop. Now, I don't actually have the APC plugged in, so you won't be able to see the lights. However, this is the set button feedback page. So when you map a command that has feedback, these are the colors that will be used, to show you that feedback. So default is the default state. So if nothing's been sent off nor on, that's the color that LED will be. And the color selection here is quite limited because that's all this APC Mini supports. But if you plug in, the APC 40 Mark II, which has like 100 colors, they're all there as well. Off is when, you get an off message. So like, let's say a source was the previous source and then it wasn't. That's the color that will show you that that's no longer the previous source, or it could just be off as I have it selected to. And then for each layer, I can set these states. So I can have the default state for layer 1 be green and the default state for layer 2 be red. So when I switch through my layers, I can quickly visually identify which it is by the feedback state.
Got it. Yeah, that makes good sense. A lot of thoughts going into this. How in the world did you come up with this idea to begin with? Were you just fooling around saying, boy, I wish I could fill in the blank?
I'd used other tools that, there's many on the market, and someone in the chat just mentioned Companion. Companion's amazing, but the limit there is it only supports Stream Deck, and Stream Deck has it's just buttons. There's no linear controls like faders or encoders. It's
Right.
it's quite limited. There's other software on the market that does similar things to this, but they either cost a lot more or they were kind of targeted more towards like the lighting market. And I wanted to create something for mainly, originally for my own use by necessity. I need this on my productions that, was like supported all the heavy hits in the broadcast world.
Right. All right. So how much is this thing going to cost me?
$49.
Yeah, that's just the down payment. What's the rest of it?
So there are other softwares that will charge, you buy the basic package and then you have to pay extra for every device you want to plug in. But you pay us $49, you get everything, that we support now. And that, it's a modular program. So, you can tell. And as I've mentioned, stuff will be added as we progress. But you get it all. You buy it now. That's
$49.
$49.
You and I need to have a discussion about how to price things based on value. Holy cow, dude. This is easily a $300 add-on right there. I mean, I've got a client right now who would have gladly paid me $1,500 for this 2 weeks ago because it would have fixed a problem.
Look, Tom, I'm helping you make your profit margins, so you can thank me later.
No, I don't. I if it's something that you allow me to resell, I'll resell it to him for the price that everybody else would get it for. Of course, my fee as a consultant might be quite steep, but that's something else. Okay, yeah, Sasha's saying, "Shut up and take my money." Okay, well let's give the folks in the chat room an opportunity to sort of chime in. So let's close out the show and go into the post show.
Sure.
So sit tight just 1 second. We're gonna close out this part of Streaming Idiots. And so if you don't want to hang around for the questions, that's fine. There will be an exam after the question, and so based on the exam, we'll determine what your grade is. But no, I'm teasing. But we'd love to have you hang around. If I can help you in any way. Let's see, I've got a lower third here somewhere. Is this thing going to work or is it going to kill everything else? Yeah, there we go. Shoot me an email, tom@easternshorebroadcasting.com, or there's a contact form at Eastern Shore Broadcasting. If you're interested in our cameras or our HDMI USB dongles, let us know. If you're interested in talking with us about a live streaming PC for your church or your business, or heck, for your basement, we'd love to talk to you about that too. So sit tight. We'll be back with the post show in just a moment. Okay, let's see if I got Joe's mic on. Yeah, it looks like I do.
Check.
Okay, awesome. Well done, young man. Holy cow. This is tremendously exciting. I had an idea of what it might be.
It's really hard to explain to people what this is because it's just so open-ended. It's like it doesn't do one thing and it doesn't do another. It does all of those things and then several others at the same time.
Oh, yeah. All right, well, here's the thing. If you can get this to work with Stream Deck and with X keys, and I know Stream Deck will do the companion, do the multiple pages, but right now X keys is just limited to the keys you've got. This would be just a major breakthrough for X keys to be able to have something like this work with that. I mean, great day.
I mean, yeah, it would really open that up to work with, anything we support. As soon as your device works in central control, then it now works in 10 other things.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to share this during the show, but I will happily share this now. I've been experimenting with the Stream Deck already, and this is just some really early implementation, again, with a Tricaster, I'm sorry. But here you can see, you've got...
Hold on a second, let me get you full screen.
I shall rewind.
There we go. Okay.
But there you can kind of see you've got borders around each button indicating whether it's on preview or program. And then also you've got little, updates. It's not video, but these little thumbnails that update, every second or so. But yeah, Stream Deck, obviously it's massive. It's so high on the list, but it'll be there really soon.
All right. So by Christmas?
I'd say I'd be surprised if we don't have that out by the end of July.
Ooh, there you go. So all you Stream Deck folks, this is something you're going to want, and you don't have to wait for Christmas to have Christmas. Yes.
Nope.
And for $49, oh man, we should have had this discussion. Gee, me. What is it with you Europeans about value? Just, you want to give everything away. The Australians are the same way, except for black magic. Holy cow. Okay, let's see what kind of questions. HGB wants a link to your website, Joe. Well, there it is, right there under his name, centralcontrol.io.
Where's the QR code?
Yeah. Well, we'll put Joe back up there for the QR code. There you go. So just scan that QR code, and there you go. You're there.
There you go.
And Steve's giving you a hard time.
When doesn't he? Really?
That's right. What are friends for? Yeah. Keeps you
Exactly.
sharp. Keeps you sharp. Let's see. What else? Questions about the Stream Deck. RJ's here. RJ's going to be all over this. He's going to love this.
Dave Edwards has two questions I'd like to answer.
Okay. Dive in.
One being, have you used it with zero tier? Zero tier is, for those of you that don't know, it's like it basically lets you extend your LAN over the internet. So the kind of workflow I spoke about earlier, you don't have to worry about port forwarding. It kind of, the vMix system, it's like it was actually on the same LAN, but it's not. They like kind of hide all that away from you. I haven't used it myself, but I can't imagine it wouldn't work. It should just be even easier than port forwarding. His other question was APC 40. I'm guessing he's talking about the original. The Mark II is supported, but the original 40, we have this generic MIDI device. So any MIDI device you can plug in and it will work, even if it doesn't, fully support the feedback at the moment.
Okay. RJ is commenting on the minimum system requirement of an Intel i3, Windows 10 4 gig. That's hardly anything.
So I saw his comment. That's based on the lowest powered system I had here to test. I can only state the requirements based on what I can test.
Sure.
But again, as I keep pushing, there's a 30-day free trial. So if you have a system you might want to use it on, the best way is to just try it.
There you go. Holy cow. I think I'm going to start just bundling this with all the systems that I sell. And just, because people are just going to discover one day and say, Tom, can I do such and such? And I was like, yeah, we've already put it in there. Holy cow. Is zero tier a big thing? I mean, if Dave knows about it, Dave knows about the most obscure things in the whole world.
I would assume, I haven't used it, but I'd assume the advantage with zero tier is let's say you're using port forwarding and your IP address changes, well, then that setup's broken. Zero tier, I'm guessing, like dynamically reacts to stuff like that.
Okay.
But, Dave could enlighten us on what.
Oh, I'm sure he will.
What that's doing for him.
I'm sure he will. Yes. All right. RJ says, Tom, are you considering this program for running vMix from the cloud? Well, yeah, duh. In fact, not just running vMix from the cloud, but multiple TDs running one instance of vMix from the cloud. Did I misunderstand that, Joe? I mean, is that so I
No,
could have a TD in UK and one in Texas and one in New Zealand, and they're all dialed into the same Amazon server.
That's right.
Somebody's running audio, and somebody else is running graphics, and somebody else is switching cameras.
But there's nothing to say one of them couldn't be with the local system, and the other two are remote.
With a local system as well. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, whatever combination you want.
Incredible. All right, so you have to. You don't have to, but I would like you to come back on the show again when we can do a live demo of maybe you controlling my system, or I can spin up a EC3 server up in the cloud somewhere and me control some of it.
I think you've got an episode on its own just about running it on EC2.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've got a whole series of that in my head that I haven't even gotten to yet. Yeah. All right. Let's see. What other questions do we have? Running back through questions. Let me go back up to the first page. And if you've asked a question before and Joe hadn't seen it or I haven't seen it, pop it back up. Just cut and paste it back up to the top so that we can get it again. Because we want to get your. Dave says Tom is finally going to get an actual TD for his show. Well, I don't think I can afford Joe for very long. And I might not like the cuts he makes. I mean, he might just cut me out of the show. Gee whiz. All right. Martin K is asking if you need an X keys for testing.
Yes, still looking for one. Ideally, the ones we really want to test are the replay one and the one with the T-bar, because I think those are the ones that are going to have the most value.
Yeah.
But obviously, I will take whatever I can get because I really want to get X key support checked off.
But when you think about it, an X keys 24 with page control can become an X key 96.
Yep.
Holy cow. Yeah. If it just had sliders. All right. Kyle wants me to bundle this with his PCs that I'm building for Griswold Public Schools. Yes, Kyle, I'll bundle them with all those. I will. If Joe will set me up as a reseller, I'll send them to you. Okay, there we go.
Schools have been quite big because a lot of them have like the older S standard def Tricasters, which often shipped with the panel I was just showing, and they're like, well, why shouldn't we be able to use this? Do you know what I mean? Like, there must be a way.
Well, it's in a closet somewhere. Yeah, because
it out right
standard
now.
Definition, and it doesn't work anymore, and holy cow, this is cool.
I've just read a question. I see there is iPhone ability. Will Android be coming too? So the iPhone controller was using an app called Touch OSC. I think it's about $5, but they do support Android and iOS.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Joe, this is huge. Let's see. Michael is asking, is it good on both PC and Mac?
At present, just Windows. The decision was kind of made based on
Joe to Mac.
I mean
just Windows. Oh my gosh, the transformation is complete. He's come over from the dark side, finally.
So
after all these years,
the thought process there was, all 90% of the software we're looking to control is Windows based. So it made sense to put the resources and time into making the Windows version as complete as possible and supporting the most amount of devices. And you, a big proponent of that, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Let's see. All right, RJ.
Ian's just commented.
Go ahead.
Go on, Tom. No, Ian's just commented in the chat. Yes, we've been working to support some of the old Broadcast Pix control panels. They've got some really nice control panels, so watch out for that.
Yeah, the Broadcast Pix control panels aren't they pretty mammoth?
They made a small one, the 1ME, and then the size difference from the 1ME to the 2ME, it's just like another planet. It's massive.
So how massive is massive? How many buttons?
Well, let's have a look.
For the 2ME, just ballpark. 20?
The 1ME, I think it has 3 rows of buttons of maybe 12, and then Ian will correct me, but the 2ME has maybe like 6 rows of buttons that are like 24 buttons.
6 rows of 24?
Yeah, so you have
Really?
It's like a multi-ME switcher. So you have got on here, I've got like a big Tricaster one, but you've got preview, program, and then say a key row for
Right.
like downstream keys, which is then assignable. And
Right.
then you have that pretty much just duplicated for the ME section. So you've got basically 2 complete switches at your disposal. And I'll mention, we support the Tricaster 8000 panel, which is very much like that. You could use the main switcher bit for vMix preview program, and then you could use the ME section for one of the new mix inputs in vMix 23. So you could run kind of 2 productions off one vMix from one panel. You're going to have to try it.
I know, but I've got a client who has been fussing at me because he can't get a controller big enough. And
I'd look, the NewTek ones come up on eBay from time to time, and I can't recommend them enough. You plug them in, they kind of just work.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be surfing eBay then. Awesome. Okay, let's see. Ian says, screen share the Google slide.
Screen share the Google. Oh yeah, he made me some documentation that I was looking at when we were implementing that. Ian, if you just send me a message with that, I'll pull it up. But yeah, no, there's some really nice control panels, and I've no doubt that many are sitting on a shelf somewhere. So hopefully we can bring them back out. But it's something like 228 buttons, and if that's not enough for you with 10 pages, then you need to rethink your workflow, I think.
All right, so Ian says 228 buttons, 2 T-bars.
Yep.
2 displays, 8 rotary encoders, and a joystick.
Mm-hmm.
And a partridge and a pear tree. Holy cow.
Everything you need. Will it work with the Tricaster Mini control surface? That's one of the ones we don't have, but if you send me an email, we can definitely look at making that work.
Yeah, Kyle runs a school studio, an amazing studio in a school in Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
And we're building 4 PCs for him right now.
No, we could. I have no doubt we could get that working.
Joe Bond is saying OSC output, or is it for input only?
So that's a great question. You can. We'll go back over to my display. So there is, as well as the OSC templates for the Touch OSC remotes, which we've looked at, there is also a generic OSC device which can receive and send OSC messages from anything that supports OSC. So that'd be the answer to that.
Love it. Let's see. Mike says, Hi, Tom. Mike from Ireland. Long time since I caught up with you. 6 years. No more. Oh, he's said that word. No more VidBlaster. vMix is it. Need time to catch up on all the changes. Well, Mike, we're glad you're a little slow in getting here, but you made it, and that's the thing. We're not doing VidBlaster. I had somebody call me the other day, wanted to buy a VidBlaster license. I said, I think things have changed a little bit. Yeah, we're not using carts and horses anymore. We actually are using electric vehicles. Yeah. So Joe says, so that means I can control my X32 with this. Is that right?
Yes, you could using the OSC generic device, but it wouldn't be as nice as it could be if we actually, officially implemented that, and then it would be as smooth as it is to control vMix. So yes, but will be better.
So that would mean, I assume when he says X32, he's talking about the Behringer.
Yes. So there's kind of two meanings to that, because they also have the ones that are the rack mount units, which I can see why you would want to use something like central control, because then you can add physical faders.
But yeah, so I could take an aux out off that board, and then I could control that instead of having to nudge the sound guy to make a change for me. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, if you maybe only needed one fader, you'd have, the rest of your faders assigned to stuff in vMix, and then maybe one is the one. Maybe you need your input into his desk just so you can turn it up in case he forgets when you play a video. I don't know.
Right.
Something like that.
Right. All right. Joe wants to go to my website. I mean, to your website. I'm sorry, and buy it right now. Well, Joe, go get the free trial.
Welcome to do so.
Just get the free trial.
Yeah, 30 days.
30 days. You don't put your money away. You don't even need money. Joe is giving it to you free for 30 days. And then at the end of 30 days, it gathers up all your financial data on your PC and sends it to the UK. Yep. There you go.
Hopefully by the end of 30 days, we'll have the reseller option. So you can go to Eastern Shore Broadcasting and buy it.
Well, there you go. There you go. That would be a good thing. All right, what other questions we got? This is great. Oh, JB is JB is saying, will it support VidBlaster? I think that's an honest question. I really do.
It is, yeah, and yes, we will do that. There's obviously, when you have a project like this, there's the infamous to-do list, but VidBlaster is on it, and I want this to be as complete as possible. And my personal opinions from past and present aside, it needs to work with everything.
Right. If it's going to work with everything, everything means everything.
Everything.
Yep. So this is going to become the VLC. That was the analogy I was looking for before. Yes. It is the multifunction, multi-mode Swiss Army knife. Yeah. Ian says, don't forget that a lot of buttons on the broadcast picks have displays. You do have that figured out already, I'm sure. Yep. JB's commenting it works with OBS. That's stellar. Steve is asking, I think he's prompting you with the question, will it work with SMPTE 2110?
Much like nothing else works with SMPTE 2110, this won't either.
Michael wants to know what OSC is.
No, that's a great question. OSC is kind of the successor to MIDI, and it works entirely over the network, and it does a lot more than MIDI ever did. MIDI is still obviously dominant, but the great thing about OSC is you have apps called like Touch OSC where you can build your own layout to do whatever really. I made one the other day to control NDI Studio Monitor, which we support, so you can switch the source on the monitor, but you can use that to build your own custom interface to hand off to a volunteer that might not completely know what they're doing. Take the danger away, if you will.
There you go. Reduce the opportunities for error. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, very good. Let's see what else we might have worked. No, I think we got them all. Well, Joe, what else you got? What else are you thinking? What nuggets? I mean, because you can tell we're beginning to wind down here, and if you've been keeping your powder dry on some special things, now's the time to dive in and share them.
I'll give
something we haven't talked about.
Probably. I mean, the scope's quite broad, but I'll end by saying the next big feature will be control of Microsoft PowerPoint, which has been long requested. So you could maybe use a vMix script or something to take control of PowerPoint. I'll map this right in front of you now. So what I'll do is I'll go to Live Control LC11, and then I'll pick 2 buttons, and it can be whatever buttons I like. It doesn't have to be what the label says. I'm going to click this Jump to Control button. So I press a button, it jumps to it, and then we'll go down to PowerPoint and we'll say Previous Slide. And on the button after, we'll do Next Slide. And then what I'll have to do is put PowerPoint in full screen, otherwise it won't work. I can't see you at this point, but I hope you can see me. But now I can, from my LC11, I've got, control of PowerPoint. And PowerPoint doesn't need to be the foreground window, by the way. This is, it could be in the background somewhere. But that's a sneak preview at the next version anyway.
So you're at version 1.1 now? Is that where you are?
1.1.
1.1.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So come back in 12 years when you're in version 25, and we'll do this show again.
I can't wait. It's in my diary already.
Sasha wants to know if you're looking for a reseller in Austria. Sasha, I guess Joe's going to have to grapple with this reseller issue. Does he want to be direct, or does he want to do resellers and increase his reach?
So prices include all updates. Absolutely. So if we add, PowerPoint and Stream Deck and whatever in the next version, if you bought it for $49, you get that.
What is he thinking? Gee whiz.
Must have lost my mind.
He's definitely lost his mind. You are intoxicated with the potential of this great grand scheme, and you want to get it in as many hands as you possibly can.
Yeah. And then, workflows where people will make videos, do things I never expected, and that's how it grows in my eyes.
And then when he's got it in 100,000 applications, he's going to hit a switch on his keyboard, and it's going to disable all 100,000, and you're going to get a ransom message. And that's when
if your production's going to happen, then there's going to be $1,000 in my PayPal account in the next half an hour.
Oh gosh, wouldn't that be terrible? Oh my. Okay, so there we go. So we've got a lot of folks that are interested. This is great. And you can go right now to centralcontrol.io and download the free 30-day trial. It's not crippled in any way. Mm-hmm. It's not watermarked or somehow made less than 100% functional. That wouldn't be fair. That wouldn't be a good test. And and within 30 days, you might have a reseller you can get it from. There you go. But Joe deserves the full price of $89.95. There's no doubt about it. So no, I'm teasing. I battled with Martin and Tim at vMix for years to raise the price on their software because it was so grossly underpriced, and they just told me to shut up and go away. No, it hadn't gone up.
Same as it was.
8 years, 7 years. They did go up 6 or 7 years ago, but it hasn't since then. They just keep adding more features. They're like, oh, if we add more features, no, well, yeah, it's still, they're still not getting any more money for it. They did enforce the upgrade policy finally.
12-month, yeah,
which is only fair. All right. Well, Joe, let's pull the plug on this show. This is really great. I've taken way too much of your time, but you've been very gracious to come on and chat with me. And again, folks, it's centralcontrol.io, and you can contact Joe through that website. You can download the free trial through that website, and we can look forward to Stream Deck coming on board with this in the possibly near future. Maybe X keys behind that. And if you've got other devices that you're interested, then make sure he knows about that. He's not a mind reader. He's got a lot of stuff on his plate. So if you have some ideas, they may just be the next big thing. He'd like to hear about it. Martin, well, now we're getting a couple of good questions. Sasha wants to know, isn't today the 10th anniversary of vMix? I don't know. That's a good question.
I don't know.
I mean, I think it's closer to Christmas, actually. Yeah, because that's when Martin wrote
2009, Christmas 2009, he released the first public version. So
yeah,
I don't know.
So
give or take.
Give or take. Right about the time Joe did his first live stream. Martin Stuckey says, Dante integration possible?
I mean, not at present, but email me and tell me what that looks like to you. You know, what you want to do with that, and I'll be happy to look at it.
There you go. Yep, Steve's already said that Joe will take care of that. Okay, there you go. We got it. All right, Joe, you're a prince. You're a prince.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much. It was great. Folks, we'll see you next week. I have no clue what we're doing next week, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun if it's on Streaming Idiots. If you have a friend that missed this show, make sure they get to watch this one, because this is an important show to get. So there we go. There we go. So we're going to go to the private post show, which is just me and Joe talking. Don't you wish you could be in on that one? Well, you probably will, because I'll probably leave the mic open. But otherwise, we will see you guys. We will see you later. And we'll throw this graphic up there just for now. So y'all take care.